I'd like to call this meeting of the Greenbelt City Council to order. Madam Clerk, can you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Fritz,
He's present. Are you muted, Councilmember Fritz?
Councilmember Nisu,
Present.
Councilmember McKinney,
Here.
Councilmember Pompey,
Here.
Councilmember Pope,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Weaver,
Here.
Mayor Jordan.
Here. Please join us in a moment of silent reflection as we remember residents and others who have passed away since the last City Council meeting. Resident John Henry Jones, Joan Jacobs, Eunice Pierce, and also Lynn Grace. Join us in a moment of silent reflection. Thank you so much. Councilmember Pompey, will you lead us in the pledge, please? Republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, thank you. And Councilmember McKinney, will you share the Greenbelt Pledge?
The strength of Greenbelt is diverse people living together in a spirit of cooperation. We celebrate all people. By sharing together, all are enriched. We strive to be a respectful, welcoming community that is open, accessible, safe, and fair.
Well, thank you so much. City Council meets twice a month, except in July, August, and December, to set policy and take formal action on behalf of the city. Tonight's meeting is open to the public, as are all council meetings, except for executive sessions permitted under state law. We welcome residents who are here in person, joining us on Zoom and watching remotely, and there will be opportunities for public comment throughout the meeting. If you wish to speak in person and you're here in the room, just raise your hand, and after being recognized, you can step over to the podium. And you'll need to state your name and an address for the record. If you are participating or watching on Zoom, you can use the Q&A feature tab at the bottom of your screen, or raise your virtual hand, or by raising your virtual hand after being recognized. Once again, you'll need to provide a name and an address. We don't accept anonymous comments online. And if you're watching remotely on cable TV and you'd like to submit comments, just send us an email to questions@greenbeltmd.gov. So limit your remarks to 3 minutes during the regular agenda or 5 minutes during petitions and requests, and we ask all speakers to address the matter before council, remain respectful, and to avoid personal attacks or questioning the motives of others. So at this time, we're going to go to petitions and requests. Members of the public, you can make a statement. You can bring a new matter to the attention of the city council or to the city staff, including requests for city action or concerns not listed on tonight's agenda. Speakers may address council during petitions and requests for up to 5 minutes. Council, we receive these comments, but we usually don't take immediate action during this portion of the meeting. Depending on the issue, council may refer the matter to the city manager or to city staff, or request additional information, or consider placing them on a future agenda. So once again, we ask speakers to keep their remarks focused, respectful, and civil so that all residents can have an opportunity to be heard. So at this time, are there any petitions or requests? Yes, please.
Trent Leon Lerman, 4V Laurel Hill. Greetings, council members. I just first wanted to welcome Brian Allen, another longtime Greenbelt Public Works employee of 19 years, to the city council meeting. It takes so much courage for these workers to come out. So as you all know, there's other supporters that prefer anonymity, but I'm glad that we are nearing the end of this legislative journey to have both the charter and ordinance in place. And, I hope you expeditiously pass this legislation on the version that you voted on 2 weeks ago to present tonight. Thanks so much.
Well, thank you, thank you. Any other petitions or requests? Is there anybody online by any chance?
I don't see any hands raised online, no.
Okay, well, once again, we receive these comments during petitions and requests. We do not take immediate action. Depending on the issue, we can refer them to the city manager, city staff, to one of our city advisory committees to request additional information or even place them on a future agenda. So we do appreciate the feedback, and the city clerk meticulously records each and every petition that's received. So, seeing no other petitions or requests, let's go ahead and move on to the consent agenda. Are there any modifications to the consent agenda? Yes, please.
I would like to remove the meetings from the consent agenda because we didn't get a chance to go over that schedule and upcoming work session since we were at MML last week.
Okay. So, are there any other modifications? And if there are none, could I please have a motion to adopt the consent agenda as amended?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. If there's no discussion, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And that's going to bring us to the agenda. Are there any modifications to the agenda? And if there are none, could I please have a motion to adopt the agenda as presented? Councilmember McKinney, thank you. Is there a second? Councilmember Pope has seconded. If there's no discussion, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you so much. So that's going to bring us right into the petitions, the presentations section of the agenda. And there are two presentations, two proclamations tonight. The first is the Small Cities Month proclamation. And I'll stand. Councilmember Pope, you've been a leader and a longtime member of the Small Cities Coalition. Would you care to accept this proclamation? Fantastic. Here we go. Whereas the National League of City President and National League of Cities Small Cities Council have declared June as Small Cities Month, and whereas small cities and towns under 50,000 population are hometown to millions of Americans and constitute most municipalities across the United States, and whereas small cities and towns strive to strengthen their communities, the provisions of service and programs to improve the quality of life for all citizens, and whereas the federal government and state government are essential partners in the success of small cities and towns and must be encouraged to continue to support programs and legislation that strengthen small communities, and whereas organizations, businesses, citizens are also participating in the success of small cities and towns and must be encouraged to grow their efforts to make small communities a viable choice for people to live. And whereas during these challenging economic times, the need for a renewed intergovernmental partnership to support essential public services is more important than ever to ensure the safety and growth of small American towns. Now, therefore, I, Emmett V. Jordan, by the authority vested in me by the residents and City Council of Greenbelt, do hereby proclaim June to be Small Cities Month in Greenbelt and encourage our legislators, organizations, and businesses and residents to recognize this event and to work together throughout the year to invest in small cities and towns, better the lives of all residents. I'll have to present. So much.
So, you want me to say a few words? Well,
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
Going on now. So, first of all, thank you for the proclamation. I do really appreciate it. So, the National League of Cities, Small Cities Council, is comprised of 197 members currently, representing communities across the United States with population fewer than 50,000 residents. Most municipalities or cities that participate in National League of Cities are small cities and towns. I think close to 90%, if I'm not mistaken, are small cities. So it's called National League of Cities, but everybody thinks big towns, you know, like LA and, you know, but really it's comprised of small cities all across the states. I have been a member since 2009 or 2010, and also had the privilege of serving as chair in 2016. I was able to host a small city steering committee summer meeting here in Greenbelt, and this provided an excellent opportunity for me and for us to showcase our city, our services that we provide, and our history, of course. And everyone was very highly impressed with all the things that our city does, and they walked away with many, many ideas. The Small Cities Council is both an important and valuable committee. It provides members with the opportunity to discuss challenges, exchange ideas, share experiences, and learn from another. So, the collaboration and support among members make participation in this council very rewarding, and I'm very blessed and grateful to be able to be serving on this committee. So I would just like for maybe the city clerk maybe to send a copy to the National League of Cities, to our liaison for the Small Cities Council, so they have that on file as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. And the second proclamation is National Pollinator Week. Brian Kim or City Manager Summerone, would you like to accept this proclamation? Well, thank you. And I think this is mandatory in order for us to maintain our Bee City USA certification. So, whereas pollinators, such as thousands of species of bees, are essential partners in the producing much of our food supply, and whereas pollinators provide significant environmental benefits that are necessary for maintaining healthy, diverse ecosystems in towns and cities, and whereas pollination plays a vital role for the trees and plants in our community, enhancing our quality of life and creating recreational and economic development opportunities, and whereas the City of Greenbelt manages parks, public landscaping, and other public lands that may include greenways and wildlife habitats. And whereas the City of Greenbelt provides recommendations to developers and residents regarding landscaping to promote wise conservation stewardship, including the protection of pollinators and maintenance of their habitats. Now, therefore, I, MFE Jordan, Mayor of the City of Greenbelt, by the authority vested in me by the residents and City Council of Greenbelt, hereby proclaim the week of June 22nd through 28th, 2026, as our municipality's observance of National Pollinator Week. And as Greenbelt is an affiliate of Bee City USA, we do urge all citizens to recognize and observe this important week. I'd like to present this to the staff, to you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Well, thank you so much.
Oh, I should have taken a picture. You want to go back? Oh, I went too slow.
There you go.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, so we've had the Bee City USA designation for quite some time. It signals our commitment to protecting native pollinators through habitat creation, native plantings, and responsible reduced pesticide use. Over in Buddy Attic Park, our pollinator gardens continue to grow, tended by volunteers and guided by our park rangers and rooted in the community. So we're a city that's ahead of our time. Our green spaces and community ethic and willingness to do the work, these are not accidents, they are choices that we make together. So this demarcation of Pollinator Week, let us recommit to our gardens, and to our neighbors, and to the natural world that sustains us all. So thank you. Any comments or anything?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll say that creating pollinator-friendly habitats is at the core of what we do. I think you've seen that we try to reduce our use of pesticides and herbicides in all of our land management practices. It's our last resort, and part of that is because we want to have a healthy environment, habitat for our pollinators. They're essential to ensuring fruit and flowers, particularly native species, to thrive in our ecosystem. Additionally, on the native planting side, we thrive to get rid of invasive species, not just flowerings, but also trees. And we appreciate council support on funding the replacement of the trees. I just blanked on the name of the trees that we've working to replace.
Pears, the
the
Bradford
pear,
pears.
the pear, yes, Bradford pears that are all over the city, and that's an invasive plant that we've been trying to replace. So they're beautiful trees, but they are invasive, and that's just an example of an invasive plant that we've working to replace throughout the city.
This is fantastic. Making progress on those Bradford pear trees, too. It's one step at a time.
We could use $1 million and replace them all at once.
Okay. Hey, that's going to take us over to administrative reports. Mr. City Manager, what do you have for us tonight?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I attended the MML conference. It was very insightful. I got to meet with several of my colleagues, particularly the Community Development, Housing and Community Development Administration. We were able to move some topics that I believe are on, maybe discussed future on the agenda, but particularly they're related to the TOD development. That's one of the ready-to-be scheduled work sessions that we're actively working to schedule is the meeting with the WMATA. So we reached out to DHCD to get support to move forward with the TOD development. Related to that, what inspired that is that the 2027 budget for State Highway Administration includes $30 million for the interchange. So that project is still alive, and we want to make sure that we help move it along as much as possible. So that's one of the many fruitful conversations that we had at MML. We continue to work on the Pepco streetlight issue. We have not received the proposed contract for acquisition. And I understand Pepco had a hearing with the Public Utilities Commission and we're waiting for the results of that hearing. And that's going to inform how the acquisition is going to move forward. We're planning for Wednesday's Small Business Expo. That's this Wednesday at the Hilton. Related to business development, we're also excited to welcome Jessica Maylander as our new Economic Development Manager. So for those of you who plan to attend Wednesday's business conference, she will be there. So we have onboarded her last week, but she's full on this week. We're also onboarded several summer camp folks, and we've successfully started summer camp last week. So you'll see a lot of kids running around, not just on the grounds, but also in several of our facilities. We're getting some marketing information out for tomorrow's primary election that's taking place here in the city. I think you might have seen a few signs on your way in. So the teams have been preparing for that. So the site the community center has been turned over to the Board of Election for their election tomorrow. So teams have been working on that. We're working on updates to finalize the 2027 budget book. So mayor and council will be distributing a draft letter of the council letter to be included in the budget book. So I welcome your feedback on that letter. We're continuing to move forward with the Hanover Parkway. We're on schedule to meet the deadline. Those work sessions are already scheduled with council, and we look forward to presenting that work to council. Big events coming up is our 4th of July celebrations. We are ready. It's expected to be a costlier event than previous year because Friday is the official holiday for us, and we'll have staff working that day, so that'll be overtime. And then on the actual 4th, it'll also be overtime. So we'll have a big team and overtime expense. It'll be a little bit more than previous years. But we're ready. We're ready for that event. Also, on the EV front, we have received a date for receiving our EV trash truck. We expect that to be in September of this year. So, along with EV projects, we've tested the EV charging stations at the community center and the library parking lot. They're fully functional, so all 8 ports are functional. The price policy's been set at. We are working with the vendor to see how we can get around the 49 cents per session fee that they charge. We were able to get a concession from ChargePoint for the 25-cent charge fee here at the municipal building by creating a Greenbelt EV Club. So anyone who's a member in the EV Club can charge there at no administrative fee by the ChargePoint. So we're hoping to have a similar arrangement for the Blink charging stations. The other related activity we have with the EV charging stations is we were hopeful that the state administration, was going to reduce the fee for EV charge points even further, but they're sticking to the $75 per port. So we'll have to pay $75 registration fee for every public-facing EV port. So that's the 4 that's out here and the 8 that it's at the library. The other ports that we have that city-owned are not public-facing, so we do not have to register those ports. They do not have a public charging access. Yes, Councilman Liso?
Is that an annual fee or is it just a one-time registration?
It's an annual fee, the $75.
Annual fee? Okay,
Yes.
all right.
And supposedly that $75 is to offset the cost of testing the equipment.
Right, but so we don't know if they're gonna raise that. That's difficult. Okay,
Right.
good to know.
Well, so a consideration I had was looking to put only 4 of the 8 ports at the community center, public facing. So only make 4 available so that we can save what will be $300 on the other 4 and have those solely dedicated to fleet vehicles. Parking enforcement, code enforcement is at the community center, so that we use those 4 ports. So I'm considering that option. Obviously, I have about a week to make a decision, and what's informing that option is that we don't have a large clientele that's heavily using those chargers. So I think we could test it to see how it goes with the 4 chargers, and then open up the other ports as demand increases.
I think the electric vehicles for code enforcement and planning were parked over there anyhow, so. Mayor Pro Tem?
So is the requirement to get the tax credit to have them open to the public before June 30th? Or just have power running through them?
So yes, that's the IRS tax credits, to have them publicly available and have transactions running on those ports. We have fulfilled that requirement. I ran some transactions on it, on my personal vehicle, just to test them and get the data in there. So we're
Met the requirement,
We
so
met
we
the
will get
requirement,
we will get
yes.
our tax credit for it.
Yes, and our grants administrator, Carrie, is working on that paperwork now. We touched based on it today, and we have the documentation that they went live on June 7th at 8 p.m. And we've got transaction data to back it up.
That's fantastic. Mm.
And finally, we're also working on the council meet and greet on June 24th and the June 29th work session with Council Member Adams.
Okay, fantastic. Councilmember McKinney.
Thought maybe I'd take the opportunity, since Mr. Kim is here, just a question around, I know that there's a lot of capital projects going on, and with summer camps starting, I just wanted to know if there would be any impact to the work that was happening for the team or for residents and kids that are going to the summer camps.
Mr. Kim is signaling no. I am aware of one potential project, and that is the indoor pool recoding. As you may recall, that's a project that is currently on the project charges list by the county. The timing of when we need to do that work is very sensitive. There's a narrow window. We would like to do the work when we have 2 pools open, because we have to close down the pool, drain it to be able to recode it. If the project's allowed to move forward, which we will know on Friday, we would like to move with that project expeditiously and get it done this August. So it wouldn't necessarily affect camps directly, but it would have a disruption to programming, because we will need to shut down the indoor pool, drain it, and paint it. So background on the project charges, the Park and Planning Commission has filed a temporary restraining order against the county for the project charges. The hearing happened last week. The judge stated that they would consider the restraining order and make a decision this Friday of this week. If the restraining order is approved, then it puts all the projects in question on how they will move forward. If the restraining order is not approved, then I would like for us to move expeditiously on all the project charges so that we can complete those projects.
How long would the pool recoding, how long would that take?
3 weeks.
In August? So we'd have to, with programming, if there are classes that are taking place indoors, we'd have to reschedule them.
As you've seen from the news, recording pools is a serious matter.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we don't have any algae burst
Right.
coming up there.
No fertilizer going into the pool.
3 weeks. Wow, that's a long time.
Yeah,
That's
that is a long time. Other questions? I have a couple of concerns I want to share. A resident contacted me. I guess, I don't know if it's State Highway or what, but on Greenbelt Road, over by the Lutheran Church, going all the way up to Southway, and also in front of the new development. The grass is very high, So I'm not sure whose responsibility that is, but now that I've mentioned it, if you take a look as you're driving by, you probably have noticed it as well. It's really high. So I don't know, what can we do about that?
I'm trying to picture the area. I'll ask the team to look into it.
Church all the way up to Southway, basically, on the south side of Greenbelt Road, the east travel side.
East?
But also across from the new development, also the senior housing development.
Okay, so that's the eastbound lanes, the north lanes. The senior center, that would be private property. Past the overpass of the bridge, that would be state property. So we'll look into that. None of that will be ours, but we'll follow up with SHA and property owners were able to identify.
Especially the new development, that should be something what they should take care of. And, I don't know, just drive by and take a look. It's really long. Yeah, Councilmember.
While we're talking about Greenbelt Road, there are two potholes. One, of course, is underneath the overpass, which is now pretty deep, and I know you see it too. And one of them is like in the middle lane, right where the new development's being built, between the new development and Lake Crest Drive. So there's I think it's in the middle lane, and it's getting pretty deep. So maybe we can contact State Highway and see if they can fill those two potholes.
Absolutely, we'll follow up with SHA. We submit them online and follow up via email and phone. It's their road. Right.
I tried to take a picture of them, but it's, with traffic, I'm not able to do that.
We'll follow up.
Thank you.
And the other issue that I wanted to bring up, and I know we've got concrete and paving on the agenda later on, but the Spellman overpass on the east side, the Greenbrier side, the section that's between Greenbrier's property and the bridge itself, it's deteriorating. There's the tree limbs and whatnot are sort of growing in there. So can we take a look, and we pave one side of the path going up to the bridge, but the other side on the eastern side hasn't received any attention recently, and just people go by on bikes and whatnot, and it's kind of bumpy. So
I'll discuss with the team. I think we have some property line issues on the we own one side of it. I'll connect with the team. I don't think we own all of it to repave it.
okay, well, who would? It needs some attention.
Right, so the Spellman Overpass is National Park property. We maintain it, meaning we clear the snow and keep it clear of debris and do minor repairs, but the Spellman Overpass is not our property. We have maintenance responsibility. I think repaving it, Brian, do you know?
And let me be clear, I was asking about the pathway connecting the Greenbrier property from that line to the bridge. But on the topic of the bridge itself, the overpass bridge, if you look at the metal supports that are holding the fence on the bridge, if you look at them, there's quite a bit of deterioration on the concrete at the bottom. So the bridge needs maintenance, but the pathway leading to the bridge on the east side needs some attention.
We'll look at it. I think we might have some jurisdictional issues, but we'll look at the boundary lines and see whose responsibility each portion is. But the pavement, I'm almost certain that it's private property.
But it's not. It's not green. But so I don't know. We do the one side. I don't want to press it, but it needs some attention. Anybody else? Okay. Hey, well, let's go ahead and move forward. It's about 8 o'clock now. So at this time, we're going to move into the body of the agenda. And the first item under legislation, we're going to introduce for first reading ordinance number 1410. So following the approved amendment to our city charter, which was Resolution 2132, this ordinance seeks to amend Chapter 13 of the Greenbelt City Code to formally establish Article 8 of our Municipal Labor Code. This is going to create a comprehensive framework to govern collective bargaining and labor management relations for designated non-managerial city employees across 3 distinct bargaining units: police, public works, and general non-managerial residual unit. So the framework codifies employee organization selection processes and outlines unfair labor practices and establishes a impasse resolution process. Also, some mandatory provisions. This action tonight is for first reading. Now, I do want to make note that the version of the ordinance that was distributed in the packet was updated. So I believe there's another version, which is actually the version that council voted on. In the interim, I believe we received some legal advice about one particular section, which was section 13-237C subsection 2 on page 9 of 14. So the question is, reading this into the record as a first reading, and considering the three versions that were presented. I know Councilmember Pompey, you had strong feelings about the way that we should proceed, but I do want to note that we received some advice from legal counsel that the number of days with the labor commissioner on voluntary recognition and timely challenge would possibly change. Councilmember Pompey?
Yeah, I just wanted to correct you because we actually didn't receive legal advice. They just changed it. And then after they changed it and we found that they changed it, we were like, hey, why did you change this? So it was actually inappropriate that they changed it at all because it's not their job to change ordinance language that council has voted on. So I just want to be clear on that they should never have changed that. So it's not like they gave us some advice and we accepted it and we changed it. It's that they changed it without consulting council and just sent it to us. And even if you'll even look at that ordinance, which is on page 18 of your packet, you can see where they changed it to within 45 days. They don't even have the 14 days X'd out here, which they should have because they changed it. They just changed it without any notification, and it was done completely inappropriately. So I just think that, you know, it's important to note here that they did not give us legal advice. They just changed it. And then later, once we caught it, they tried to sort of backtrack and say, oh, wait, well, this is why we did it. So I just think it's important that we're clear on that and that we should be voting, and I will be introducing the ordinance that's the language that council actually voted on. And if anyone would like to propose amendments to that during second read, I think that's appropriate. But I don't think it's appropriate for our legal counsel to send us an ordinance that they have changed without our consultation. So
Let me just clarify that when I said we, I meant the city manager and staff received some notice of the change, and somehow it didn't get back to council. So just to be clear on what I meant by we. But here we are. Would you like to present this for first reading? And if we make that change, then when it comes up again, I believe it's a substantial change. So it'll go back to first reading again.
okay, so for first reading, an ordinance to amend Chapter 13 Personnel of the Greenbelt City Code for the purpose of amending Article 8 Labor Code.
Okay, is there a second?
We need that for,
Oh, that's first reading, yeah, okay. So that's read into the minutes, into our process for first reading. Mayor Pro Tem.
yeah, I just wanted to note, so if you are looking in the online packet, the version that was just moved for first reading is the one labeled version 2. There's a red line version and there is a clean version, but just, so not the one that was, you have to go to the updated packet and it's the one labeled version 2. I just want to make that, if others are looking on, make that clear.
Okay, and yes, Councilmember Pompey.
Yeah, I was just surprised when you said that staff was advised of this change, because when, in my conversations with the city manager, he seemed to be unaware that this change was made. And even again, like, this is a policy decision and it should be made by council. So I'm wondering what the truth is here. Like, did they have this conversation with staff or did they just make the change?
It was not a conversation. There was a series of emails that were exchanged Thursday night and Friday morning in an effort to get this in the packet for this, for tonight's meeting. We had, our desire was that all the material will be produced to us Thursday by the close of business so that we could get the packet out. We worked into the night on Thursday and Friday during the holiday to get this so that council would have it before to read it tonight. In one of those conversations, there was an exchange between Steve, Mr. Silvestri, and Mr. Taylor on the question of the 14 days. The 45 days were referenced as the National Labor Board standards timeline. Their timeline for employees to appeal the recognition of a group is 45 days. So there was an exchange in that email between Mr. Silvestri and Mr. Taylor about that. I was able to trace that change through that email. We didn't review the code because that's what we have labor attorneys for. Our piece of staff was to produce the ordinance language and have our solicitor, Mr. Deloach, vet it for legal sufficiency and all those things. So what Mr. Mayor is referencing is both he and Mayor Pro Tem Weaver asked, how did this come about? I started reviewing all the records and the emails in real time with them, and that was the exchange that we all got to see between Mr. Silvestri and Mr. Taylor about Mr. Silvestri asking for the change to match it with the National Labor Board. There wasn't anything mischievous or something to create some negative issue here. They were looking at it, he was looking at it for legal sufficiency and asked the question, why isn't this aligned with the National Labor Board timeline? That's how that came about. And that's the legal advice that the mayor is referencing is they're having the exchange via email, looking at the 14 days. Where did the 14 days come from? It was existing in our code, and they're trying to pair it with something like most of the other language. When we looked at the confidential, as an example, the confidential employees, that language was to mirror or closely align with the National Labor Board's language.
Well-
So I don't think there's anything wrongdoing here. I think they're trying to, they're in the process of the review in the labor code. They're looking at what other issues might have been there, and that's what was the exchange.
Okay, well, I mean, I was not familiar with that, so I looked it up myself to see what the timeline was, and what I found was that 45-day limit, that was rescinded in 2024, so that it's no longer the law. So if he is saying that it's the law, I would appreciate if he would cite that and like give us the case law on that and whatever statute that the NLRB has, because to my research, it was rescinded. So I would appreciate that, just because, yeah, I couldn't find any evidence of that still being the case.
Right, and that's not research that we were doing.
Right, of course
The question
not.
was
I'm
asked.
just saying, I didn't do the research either until I saw it, and I said, I'm not familiar with this.
Question came up at 4 o'clock today, so, and I don't want to get, we introduced this for first reading, and the practice, or strict practice is, not to get into a detailed discussion of Ms. Pope.
So what's in the labor code, 14 or 48?
What was just introduced and read, the version 2 says 14 days.
14.
14 days.
Where does the 48 come from?
45.
5 days. So the original labor code, as it is, before you modify it, includes 14 days. What was introduced in the packet changed it to 45 days. That was,
They changed it. Yeah, no.
I just wanted to know,
No, I
which is,
understand.
where does the 14 come from? So, because everybody's talking 14, 45, I'm like, okay, where's
14 is what we voted on
what we voted on?
2 weeks ago.
Okay.
Correct.
And, okay, on 45.
Okay, so this is,
Thank
this
14 days is what already exists in the
informational
code.
discussion.
There's
here.
no,
It's not-
that's already in the code.
Okay.
That's not a new provision, it already exists.
How we got to where we are. This
Right.
isn't to discuss the code itself, it's to figure out what happened.
Okay. Well, let's keep moving to the next item on the agenda. which is under other business. Public Works infrastructure contracts, actually item 10 and 11. So item number 10 is street resurfacing contract with VMP Construction. Staff is requesting approval to execute a contract under the FY27 capital projects budget with VMP Construction Company. This contract is not to exceed $1 million for road resurfacing and $150,000 for miscellaneous concrete works. The primary scope covers the reconstruction of Hanover Parkway from Ora Glen Drive to Green Crescent Court, alongside crosswalk and parking lot improvements at the co-op, and budget permitting, the Greenbelt Aquatic and Fitness Center and Municipal Building. We'll be riding on this competitive bid from Prince George's County's road work contract 952-H to ensure cost efficiency. So, do you have any, do you want to make a motion?
Yeah, because we really should have the motion on the floor before we start discussing it. Well, that's every time I go to these work sessions at MML and they talk about, and that the guy explicitly said in the Roberts Rules session is you shouldn't talk about things before there's a motion on the floor. So maybe you need to go to one of those next MML.
I've gone and, each municipality is different, so I have a deep respect for Greenbelt's practice. Go ahead.
I would like to move the contract for miscellaneous contract works with VMP for an amount not to exceed $1 million for street resurfacing and $150,000 for miscellaneous contract works.
Okay, Ms. Pope has seconded. Mr. City Manager or Mr. Kim,
Mis-
anybody
Mis-
want to talk about this,
yep.
or a diagram or anything?
Mr. Mayor, you covered it well. I mean, that's the gist of it. We did get a chance to speak about this during the budget process, and we had a resident, Mr. Gasper, advocate for road improvements on Hanover Parkway, and this does that. Reason why it's before you at this point in time is because we have a very narrow window when we do resurfacing projects, and we want to be at the top of the schedule for our contractors. We don't want to be at the end of the schedule.
So the budget permitting part, the Aquatic and Fitness Center, that's for the recoding? No.
The road
road work,
resurfacing.
And the municipal building parking lot.
If you scroll down, you can, I think Ms. Lashley Mullen has the,
There you go.
yeah. So there's Hanover.
One of the things that we discussed with the team is being able to run some road fiber across our municipal parking lot. I think I share that with council. Obviously, we don't have money in the budget now, but it's something we'll see how we can squeeze them some conduit for the poles and internet access points. As you know, there's only 2 outlets out there. We don't know what the future holds, but we might benefit from adding additional conduit.
Okay. Any comments, questions from council? We have a question from the public. Ms. Pompey, would you like to, before we go to the public?
Yeah, it's just, do we know how long the resurfacing will take for each of these projects approximately?
We get a much longer window. Do you have about a month?
For each? Each one will take a month? The entire program. Oh, okay. Got it.
But from past experience, it's weather dependent. There's times we get some nice weather and they can knock out the middlings in one day and laying the surfacing in another day and a couple of days to do the striping. But the team plans for a longer stretch of time.
Mayor Pro Tem.
And just a question, when you expect to start? Would that be, as soon as possible, you said?
We want to authorize the contractor July 1 as that's the budget authority that you're granting us today.
And how much would the extra would being able to run the conduit? Do you have any sense? I mean, are we talking 10, 50, 100,000? How much more is needed for the conduit?
The challenge we have is in an ideal world, we would get an engineer set up to do some line diagrams and put the connection spots where they need to go. We don't have time on our side to do the engineering work. So we're really at this point we're between the team and we're just bouncing ideas of what we know will work. Alternatively, in an ideal world, we would just be part of engineering. Now, none of the work of running electrical conduit or internet conduit is needed for this project. This is just while we're ripping up the floor, we're thinking, okay, thinking ahead, what can we squeeze in here? Because it's gonna be another 27 years before we rip up this road again. So it's something that we're considering. Is it gonna be actionable? Maybe not. Maybe at this point, we may not do anything, but it's something we'd like to do, and if the money comes, we find the money and the resources, we'll try to do something.
Yeah, and finally, with the striping, with the Aquatic and Fitness Center and Municipal Building, the parking spaces, the size and everything else, are we able to squeeze in any additional ones? Are we gonna make them wider, or there be any changes in pedestrian access through the parking lots?
I spoken with the planning department. This is the idea that this parking lot, if you're asking about the parking lot at the municipal building where the farmers market takes place, this parking lot there's been several reiterations of the design, and this is the most cost efficient way of having parking spaces. So I like the current layout. I don't think that the angle parking works. We could look to make the spots smaller, but the challenge with that is that as society, we're not there yet. Folks are still driving large vehicles, so we're following the standards for parking spaces. So the whole lot is to meet parking standards. I don't know, Mr. Kim, did you have any? No, sir, that's perfect. But
Oh, Councilmember Fritz, no, Councilmember Fritz, she was saying.
Sorry, Councilmember Fritz, please.
We can't hear you.
Yeah, I was worried about that we didn't test the audio ahead of time.
oh,
Maybe you could call in quickly.
That's why we couldn't hear him.
Said he's gonna try to type it.
You gonna type it in?
Oh, he's
Oh,
gonna
the
type
chat,
it into
okay.
the chat.
It's funny, it's picking up on the transcription.
Yeah, I think it's something about it coming over the speakers in the room, not getting, I think people on the Zoom could hear him.
Okay.
No.
Why don't you go ahead and type it in, and we'll hear from Mr. Orleans while you're typing.
I will text my
Text?
question.
Okay, okay. Shall we go to Mr. Orleans while he's texting? Mr. Orleans, you had a question or a comment?
Yes, thank you. If I understood correctly, the city manager suggests that time is of the, this is a timely, there is a need for timeliness to do this now, which is why approval is being sought from council. I can accept that. He later went on to say that he has spoken with the community plan department. I think it was more about the parking lot out here, but he's aware, I'm sure, as council should be aware, that APB is readying a report to council on redoing much of Hanover Parkway, the length of Hanover Parkway, to make it more accessible for bikes and pedestrians. And notwithstanding that this work being done now would preclude tearing up the road for another 27 years, when that work is to be done, I suspect some parts of the road are to be torn up. So while I can appreciate the seeming need to pursue this now, when we know that there's a project afoot that will possibly require ripping the road up, is it appropriate? Does the immediate need outweigh the eventuality of possibly ripping the road up again to complete that project? And since I don't have the benefit of the full packet, I couldn't skim the contractor's report, but I presume VMP for this item and whomever is doing the next item will have within their contract the stipulation that they compensate all their employees by way of living wage. Mr. City Manager?
Yes, Mr. City Manager.
yes, on the last question, it's not just council's resolution, it's actually state law now that they pay the living wage. So we were initially asking for this certification, and which VMP had signed for another project. But now it's state law. What council passed as a resolution many years ago ultimately became state law.
Okay, and I believe he also asked about the APAB report that's coming up.
The APB report, we did have internal conversations about that bike pedestrian improvements. We're talking about bollards, paint, a few other amenities that we anticipated being proposed. The challenge that I see is the engineering for that work may set us back almost another year, so we would not be able to get to Hanover, to resurface Hanover until next fiscal year. The reason for that is that we do not do the contractor does not do road resurfacing over the winter months. The window in which in this fiscal year that we would have to do road resurfacing would be limited from March through June, and that would put us at the tail with the tail of the projects with the contractor. So there may not be a spot for us then. So that was the challenge with waiting. But planning, our acting director, Ms. Freer and Mr. Kim have discussed the matter, and they've found a path that we can move forward with the resurfacing work and do the paintings and other improvements later once APB and planning has completed their work on the recommendations.
Yeah, that's helpful. I feel like these modifications, you call them amenities, I think they're very important. Bollards and traffic calming and just improvements that will protect pedestrians and cyclists. I think it's very important and timely that we actually do something. So to the extent that planning and APB have some proposals that would come to council, I think it's important for us to be able to move on those, but at the same time, not delay this repaving.
Right, and if council, we support moving forward as it is, because we see that we can still accomplish those improvements down the road. We don't think that we need to hold up the projects now, but obviously council has discretion on these matters, and if you want to wait, it would delay all of our projects, because we don't have another road project that we can easily pivot to and push Hanover Parkway until 2028 or later in the year.
Okay. Councilman Fritz has submitted a timely question. It's a good question. I would rather hear it from Councilman Fritz, but since we're having some technical challenges, I'll go ahead and ask it. With the expected timeline of the parking lot resurfacing, will this impact the farmers market? So it's something you'd be able to do it in a week between Monday and Saturday.
Recording in progress.
Kim? If there are no further questions,
newer data so that it'll make our capital project planning easier. But there's a light that red line, that's the hotel is there.
Garden, I guess.
Is that the Hilton
and the residents and
Audio has been fixed in here, but not online.
Okay.
Maya, did you catch that?
I think the council room is noted as being muted.
Can you make Jamari a panelist on the laptop? Thank you, Shania.
Okay, Councilmember Fritz, I did my best. Did I adequately ask your question, and did you have any other questions?
I don't think they can hear us.
What was the question, Mr. Mayor?
I was just asking Councilmember Fritz if he had any additional questions. He's so passionate about transportation.
Well, I don't think.
Recording in progress.
Nothing's picking up on the.
Okay. We can pause for a moment, but you know, what happens here in council chambers is the most important thing.
I know,
It's
but it
working
wasn't
out.
picking up the captions for people in the audience to see what we were talking about.
Oh, okay. Coun-
Right.
Councilmember Fritz, did you have anything to add?
I wasn't able to hear the previous presentation, but
There you go, there you go. Well, we read your question as texted. Do you have any other comments or thoughts?
Question?
I think that he was just saying that he hadn't been able to hear anything about the previous presentation, about the GIS slide. Is that correct, Councilmember?
Yeah,
Yes.
I think the map, can you show the map again and repeat what you were saying to that, Mr. Summerall?
Humor's not gonna come across the same way, though.
I'm not going to tell jokes the second time, sorry.
well, that's my loss, I suppose.
I don't know. Oh, there's the map. The red highlighted area is over by Walker Drive by the Hilton Garden Inn and the Resident. And the yellow, I guess, is cautionary, and the green is good to go. And that will soon be upgraded with a GIS layer, I imagine. That's what you were referring to?
That's correct. That's the
Yes.
contract that council approved a couple meetings ago.
Very good. That'll be a nice upgrade. Let's go ahead and take a vote if there's no further comments. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? The motion carries. It's fantastic. Item number 11, that's an HVAC split unit replacement. Two of them, TriStar Contracting. This second contract item addresses critical facility maintenance within the building, this building here. Staff requests authorization to award a contract to TriStar Contracting, Inc. in the amount of $22,800 to replace two failing 35-year-old HVAC split systems serving the CARES and the Senior Mental Health Counselor offices. This project is fully funded by way of an internal transfer from the operational budget balance, requiring no new capital appropriations. So could I please have a motion on this? Yeah, Councilmember Pope?
I would like to move that we approve the procurement of installation of two HVAC split systems by TriStar Contractor, Inc., P.O. Box 104, Glen Elk, Maryland 21737, in the amount of $22,800.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Councilmember Poppy has seconded. Councilmember Poppy, you had your hand up. Did you?
No, I was going to introduce the motion, so.
Fantastic. Mr. Kim, Mr. Summerone, these splits, so we've got several different HVAC units in this building.
Yes, sir, but specifically, there are two units being replaced, one servicing CARES and the other the kitchenette area.
Okay. And is that because, you know, the building was, an extension was built on, or is there a reason why we don't have one central HVAC system as opposed to two or three splits? It's more
That's
efficient?
pre-employment, I would assume. It's just how the mechanical engineering was done
Okay,
originally.
cool.
So it's just a replacement in kind.
Okay, Mayor Pro Tem?
No, I was just going to comment, my house has two HVAC units. So it's not actually that unusual. I mean, it's a tall house, but still. Well, it's not bigger than the municipal building.
Well, no, that's not what I meant. You do have a big townhouse there, I have to say. Okay, are there any other questions or comments? Councilmember Fritz, did you have any questions or comments about this, this issue? And if there are none, let's go ahead and take a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? The motion carries. This is fantastic. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Kim. Okay, that's going to take us to one of the final items on the agenda, and that's a discussion. It's a discussion around planning for the Greenbelt 90th anniversary in 2027. Councilmember Mayor Pro Tem Weaver actually requested this be placed on the item, but it was my idea. I brought it up first.
We dispute that, but I wrote up the description, so.
So, you know, we were at the MML conference, and one of the highlights was the fact that it was the 90th anniversary for Maryland Municipal League. And, you know, they showed this slide presentation, and I was a little surprised at just how many slides they had picturing Greenbelt, which was, you know, being developed and built at the exact same time. So it occurred to me, and Mayor Pro Tem, that we needed to actually.
Probably had the idea at the same time watching the same video at MML.
You both are fantastic, really.
What was the idea?
Well, the idea is we should, you know, we should do something around the 90th anniversary. So we can do it in several ways. You know, I appreciate Mayor Pro Tem for suggesting some context from previous commemorations. Mayor Pro Tem, do you want to pose a couple of those ideas, or how do you want to do this? I mean, we can appoint a committee. I understand October 1st was the day that residents first began moving in to Greenbelt. Now, that's pretty soon after, you know, after our Labor Day commemoration, but, you know, this question of exactly what day we want to pick to commemorate the 90th anniversary, and what sort of activities we can plan within a budget. We don't really have a budget. We can establish one. You know, just deciding how we want to go about doing this. There's a few different ways. One way, yeah, please, council member.
I guess one question I would have is there anything that is currently planned as part of the programming through the museum? So isn't there already budget allocated through the Greenbelt Museum for this type of programming work, and could we not that not be the natural connection point?
Mayor Pro Tem Weaver, you had a conversation with Greg.
Yeah, so it came up because we had a PRAB meeting this week. I think the idea was, and actually, although October 1st may have been when the first people moved in, at least in 2017, for the 80th anniversary, most of the commemoration events, at least the bulk of them, were done around Greenbelt Day weekend on June, which celebrates the signing of the charter, rather than the first people moving in. Although one of the things that, as I do every time I dig into the News Review archives, I find, you know, all sorts of interesting things, including some of these follow-up events that I added to the list here. So I guess I was thinking more of maybe a little bit more for Greenbelt Day weekend. So, you know, incorporating some of the things that we've done for Greenbelt Day weekend, but make sure that we start thinking now about what we might want to do for to make the 90th special. So that was the reasoning behind bringing it up now, is that, and I think when we talked about it in the Park and Recreation Advisory Board meeting on, was that Wednesday last week? I guess it was last week, not this week. Wednesday last week. I think Greg has some ideas. I think obviously recreation takes the lead on a lot of the Greenbelt Day weekend things. I think there's a role for the museum in planning things, but I think mostly we want to make sure we start to think about things. I mean, one of the kind of neat things that was done was the Federal Theater Project. That was something that it sounds like Chris Cherry did. And also, I think he did a custom musical that year that celebrated the 80th anniversary. So I don't know. I mean, if that could be resurrected again for the 90th. So mostly, it's not necessarily thinking this is. Because we saw that 90th anniversary video for MML that had so many. I mean, we might want to think about doing a video and get our PIO staff started thinking about that and collecting things to do that. I just think whether it could be that Josue puts together a committee of staff that are already planning on doing this, you know, whoever Greg wants to do from rec, obviously Patrick Mullen and all the special events people, maybe Megan from the museum. I mostly was thinking that if we want to do something a little bit bigger than usual for Greenbelt Day weekend, we should start thinking about it now. That's primarily what I was thinking.
That's kind of what I was thinking. So, I mean, we can, we can leave it to staff to kind of come up, the recreation department, because they are so creative, and do something around Greenbelt Day weekend. We could try and then panel some sort of a committee, which could be a little cumbersome, just, logistics. But maybe there's a midpoint there. Maybe we can kind of put together like a focus group, just to appoint someone, from the museum, from the news review people that have served on previous committees, and anybody else who wants to show up and just, have like a discussion. And from that, sort of mine some great ideas or projects that would be feasible. Staff can kind of take a look at them and figure out what works. What do you think? Please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I started discussing the topic with the staff, and whatever process council decides on, we would like staff to be the leads on the project, because we're ultimately the ones having to do the work. And I think we all are familiar with committees, that there's a lot of great ideas, but not the people to do them and execute them. So we would like to have a leading role in executing and planning activities. The team is very creative, as all of you have mentioned. Some of the ideas that were bouncing around today were things as, does it make sense to move the fireworks show to a Greenbelt Day? Because one of the concerns that we have is we've become a regional destination for the fireworks show. Laurel has moved their fireworks. Now there's only really 2 municipalities in the county doing fireworks shows, so a lot of folks come to Greenbelt. And it's become more than we can handle, but maybe moving it to a Greenbelt Day type of celebration, more of our residents could enjoy the fireworks show. That was just an example. But the team, Greg and the team, are ready to plan some activities. So we welcome feedback, obviously, and want folks to feel engaged and involved in how we celebrate the city. But we've got a lot of talent in the organization. We can get started with the planning.
Councilmember Pompey.
I was just wondering if this might be something that we could charge some of our boards and committees with, just to come up with some ideas to share with staff, not necessarily to be on the planning committee with them, but like maybe the Arts Advisory Board might have some ideas, and CRAB might have some ideas, different, these different groups may have some ideas that they want to just present or offer, to staff. And not that that would lock them into anything, but that way just to give our residents a little bit of, let our residents participate a little bit as well in the, in the planning. So they wouldn't be maybe on the planning committee with staff, but they could offer up a report and give some ideas of what they might like to see. The Senior Citizens Advisory Committee might have ideas. PSAC might have some ideas. So, I think we should, let people contribute their ideas, but I agree with you that it's probably best to let staff steer the race car on this, so.
Councilmember Pope.
So, yeah, I would definitely want to ask Chris Cherry as well if he can do, because he's so fabulous when he puts these things together. So, and I think the longer, if he knows it now, then he has enough time. The other thing is, I know, remember we did the dinner over at.
Yeah, that was the 75th anniversary. Yeah.
Oh, so the 75th anniversary, we had like a gala, and we sold tickets for it, and so I wonder if that might be something that we want to revisit for the 90th.
It's doable. I mean, that's obviously it requires cost. There's money associated with it, but.
Well, we did sell
Yes.
tickets for the
Okay,
event, so it wasn't a free event. So residents could, buy tickets and enjoy dinner, and so it was quite fancy, and it was very nice. I think we had a lot of people in attendance, and it was, was really, really wonderful. So I'm just thinking, if we want to do something like that, where are we going to have it? And
All really good activities. Actually, I had a conversation with at least one person about a 1930s fashion dance party. We might not be able to dance salsa because that wasn't big in the 30s, but we can dress like it in the 30s.
Charleston?
Charleston,
Probably a lot of Charleston. Yeah. I don't, Jitterbug might be a little bit later than 30s. I'm not sure.
It was, yes.
But Charleston, I think, was 20s and 30s.
Pre-depression, yeah. Please go ahead.
Well, I was going to say regarding the gala, we could talk to, for example, the Business Alliance. I think we've already funded to do a gala. We could suggest to them that maybe they can incorporate some, because that's something that's open to everybody, that they incorporate some elements of the 90th anniversary when they plan their gala, and see if they're open to that idea. And then it's somebody else is planning that. We're just making it part of. I mean, I guess part of the idea of bringing this forward and to start thinking about it is there may be other organizations that are planning events, and we can, so the city staff doesn't have to do everything, but we could have a whole year of events related to the Greenbelt's 90th anniversary, but we don't, as a city and as city staff, don't have to do all of them.
I'm events coordinator now.
Councilmember McKinney.
I guess one of the reasons why I had asked about the museum, and I agree, I think having some committees at least provide advice and guidance, but I do think, yes, having one point of contact on the city makes sense, is that I think it's important to talk about the 90th anniversary, but how far the city has come, because we don't also, we want to look at our history in its entirety. And so the Greenbelt Museum, as well as the Black History and Culture Committee, have looked at, there's a lot of diverse history within our city, and I don't want to lose that by simply focusing on where it was in 1930s.
Yeah.
So I think it's important for the theme to reflect how the city has evolved and embraced multiple cultures and multiple people within it since that establishment. So I think that can come out by ensuring that we have diverse voices providing advice and guidance to the city on what those activities can look like.
Well said, well said. So, in listening to everyone here who's made a comment, circling back to the idea of staff taking the lead in actually planning and executing some or most of whatever activities are come up with, the idea of opening it up either to the advisory boards or having some sort of a listening session where anybody who has experience, somebody from the news review or people that have served on previous committees may have some thoughts about things that they wanted to do, could have done, but didn't quite get off the ground. What do you think? Maybe one of the advisory committees, CRAB perhaps, could actually convene a little listening session where anybody with an idea can come in, and ultimately staff would kind of look at those suggestions and go from there.
Just a meeting, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
Fire department too, they probably have a great history as well.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and do that.
So it sounds like, I think, form a committee of staff, but I think each of us could take it back to our advisory boards for any thoughts they had, but then CRAB seems like an appropriate one, but I think we should do that. If the ideas are going to be incorporated, not wait too long so that then staff has time to sort through them and decide which ones are feasible and things like that.
Yeah. Do you think it'd be feasible to do this before Labor Day, over the summer?
What, this Labor Day? Next year.
Yeah, no, we've got time. I mean, that's why we're starting now, because we have a year to plan for it.
Not this year.
Not this year?
No, it takes
Okay.
a lot of,
De-
this is
December?
a lot of work
Uh-huh.
to put.
Well,
something
but the anniversary is
That takes a lot of
2027.
effort. They just, I mean, you never did an event, I guess.
Well, I wouldn't want to put anything off. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yes, please, Councilmember.
I like the idea of putting some deliverables on a timeline, like having an overarching theme and maybe a creative direction, even just colors, so that we have an actual jumping off point instead of just staying in the idea phase for too long. So to that end, I'm not sure about Labor Day, but I do think that probably sometime in this calendar year would be possible for those baseline things so that we can start intentionally building around them.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, please, City Manager.
Yeah, so if I hear you correctly, maybe some activities sprinkled leading up to Greenbelt Day, because one of the things we were thinking about is, Greenbelt Day weekend, it's a weekend. So how do we fill a schedule of maybe it starting Friday or Thursday through essentially Sunday or Monday? And that's not a whole lot of time to fill in.
Well, no, I was thinking, I was kind of thinking about what Mayor Pro Tem Weaver had said about different organizations all doing things involving the anniversary. And so if we had kind of an overarching mission and vision of what the city wanted to say, which, as Councilmember McKinney was saying, would be a great thing to have the museum's input on, since she is such a thought leader on the future and history of Greenbelt, so that there are accessible ways for the community and organizations to dip in if they wanted, to minimize how much our staff and city is having to take on.
Gotcha.
So if we can come up with sort of a theme, focal area, not just Greenbelt's 90th anniversary, but something more specific than that then other organizations can take and run with.
Like 90 years of cooperatives, or I don't know, something like that, like giving it a theme. I like that idea.
I just find that it's really important to give people something to work off of if you want it to be at all cohesive.
Okay, is there any additional discussion? Well, let's go ahead. City Manager, do you need any additional direction?
I think I have enough for now. We'll get working on a theme and timelines, because it sounds like it will be more expansive than just that weekend. Because if organizations are going to run with a theme, they can incorporate that into their activity. So we could be looking at weeks or months long celebration, because we don't want people to reschedule activities that they're already planning for next year to fit around this. We just want them to do it in honor of the 95th anniversary.
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah,
exactly
so-
the idea.
So we could be looking at a year-long celebration if everyone's
Exactly.
looking
Why
at
not?
it through that lens.
Yeah.
Right, well, because we're not asking people to reschedule their activities.
Right,
we're
right,
just-
no, and I think that
yeah.
makes sense, yeah.
Oh, did I?
No, that's exactly
Okay,
what I'm going
okay.
for. Yeah, we want to make it as accessible as possible to pop into and celebrate.
Exciting. Yeah, and get people excited about it all year round. I think that's great.
Councilmember Fritz, what do you think of this conversation?
I think it's a great conversation. I want to plant the flag that I think we should do something for the 100th, so I'm claiming that right now.
There you go. Hey,
You
I
know,
was thinking
but
that too.
I can say I was the first to say it. No, I actually do think that this is great, and I actually, less jokingly, I actually do think that we're coming up on on a lot of centennials as well. July 2nd, 1932 is when Franklin Delano Roosevelt coined the term New Deal. So it'll kind of be the beginning of the centennial for the New Deal era 6 years from now. So I think that's something that we could look at as well. Maybe try to partner with our, sibling cities across the country. I've been touring a couple of them, and maybe finding ways to engage people in the broader New Deal and remind folks that if you're in the capital region, this great museum of the New Deal is right here in our community. So I think that the 90th is a great launching point, but I think we'll also be coming on opportunities to really highlight our history as a New Deal city. And to Councilmember McKinney's point, I appreciate what she's saying as well. I think it's also an opportunity to talk about the contradictions and how we have grown since then as a city as well, and how we've changed since then. Yes, I'm very excited about this. Hopefully it'll generate a lot of great programming. And, I'm someone who discovered Greenbelt through our history, through our museum. And I hope that many others will fall in love with Greenbelt through these kinds of celebrations.
Very good, very good. Thank you so much. So at this time, let's go ahead and move on to the next section of the agenda. We did add meetings, but first we need to go through the council reports and council activities. Any council reports? Council activities? Mayor Pro Tem, can you put that up on the screen?
What I have, I don't know if anybody has anything that they didn't get a chance to add. I will say the screening last night of Forever Free and the Illiteracy Playbook, it was an amazing film. Was very well done. And so I think they're looking at some broader distribution of it, but it was really powerful. And I would encourage others to find an opportunity to watch that.
Yeah, and I want to congratulate the mayor on his cinematic debut in that film as well. So, if y'all want to, there's plenty of local color to Prince George's County as well. First and foremost for the city of Greenbelt, our mayor being one of the interviewed guests in the film.
My part was very, very small. Mayor Sidner up in Laurel is so articulate and so good at presenting himself. I have such a hard time speaking in public and whatnot. So, but you can talk to my agent if you want to.
I don't know if appearing in a documentary is enough to get you your SAG card.
Working on it. I got my people working on it. Okay. Anybody
like
else?
Ms.
Yeah,
Coffey,
please. MML. That was what an
Yeah,
incredible.
MML was great, and actually related to that, I don't know if this is really, I mean, I guess this is kind of a council activity, but I wanted to congratulate Mayor Jordan on being elected to the MML board of directors. He's a member at large, which is great, and he was also elected, I believe it's vice president of the Maryland Mayors Association. So just wanted to extend my congratulations for that, and you know, we appreciate you elevating Greenbelt and serving on these state boards.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Anybody else have interesting experiences at MML? I think we each went to workshops, and we'll be bringing things back over the next few weeks, next few months. Great ideas that we may have heard that we want to share. and
I went to this
implement
great workshop. I think it was called Community Heart and Soul, and I talked to the city manager about it, but it's an organization that does like community visioning, and it's like resident-driven community visioning. And it was a really great presentation, and I've talked to the city manager about seeing if we can invite them here to do a work session or a presentation for council. I know that city visioning is something you feel a lot of passion about, Mayor, and I loved the idea that this visioning was really involving residents, not only in the visioning, but in the execution, which I think is amazing. So, yeah, that was probably my favorite one that I went to.
Yeah, I've heard their presentation before, and I think they've worked with other municipalities in Prince George's County, either Edmonston or Colmar Manor. So, yeah, I think we should, have that conversation. Maybe
Yeah, the former mayor of Galena is works with them now, and he was really I mean, he came to visit. He came to visit Greenbelt a couple of years ago when he was the president of MML, and he was really jazzed. He was like, Greenbelt is the ideal kind of city for this organization. Like, he talked to me about it multiple times, so he thought we'd be a great candidate. So anyway, I think it would be fun to hear from them more about what they do and how that could work for us.
Okay, anybody else?
Well, I want to just uplift the great work of our staff. Maybe if City Manager Sam Marone could talk a little bit about the great presentation. I know we were all proud to see Greenbelt be honored at multiple sessions, but we had a great presentation about civic engagement. Maybe if the City Manager could share a little bit, because I think we should all be proud of how our city was represented by our staff.
Thank you, Councilmember Fritz. We were honored to receive an invitation by MML to present at the conference on civic engagement. So we had it was Giselle Alvarez and myself, along with Sykesville Mayor, doing a presentation on civic engagement. And, we were honored that MML reached out to us us directly, and they said they've seen the work that we've been doing, and they wanted for us to showcase the work and present it to the broader audience. And we did, and we received great feedback from various municipalities. Folks they had copies of our presentation, but they want more materials. They want to be able to replicate the things that we're doing. So it makes me really happy to see that we are influencing the work to deliver better outcomes and better services for residents, because I think all our residents in the state deserve the best service that the municipalities can provide, and we're happy to contribute in a small way to that.
And there was one more thing that happened. I don't want to overlook this. The Lifetime Achievement Award went to Jay Davis for her just tireless work on behalf of the city of Greenbelt, and also, service as a former chair president of the MML board of directors, and just serving on the legislative committee for a long, long time, and so many other things. So, yeah, please.
Well, and she along with some other former presidents of MML were a panel for a sort of a 90th anniversary panel, and I got video of some of her sort of entertaining stories that I need to clean up and try to share in some way. But she has some good stories about back when she was early getting involved in MML. So it was a fun panel.
Okay. Hey, at this time, let's go ahead and take a look at the review the to-be scheduled calendar and to-be scheduled. Mayor Pro Tem, can you put that up? Or
I can. I have it, Ms. Leschenwell. I have it open.
She had it on her screen, so.
Yeah, so I think just because we normally would go through some of this, the meeting before, the work session a week before our regular meeting, but we didn't have a chance to do that. So I think, at least for my purposes, I think one note is the council meet and greet actually starts at 7. I think that got corrected, but it's correct on the calendar on the city website. But you can see the things coming up.
We've got the council meet and greet on Wednesday on the 29th. Depending on how the primary goes, or I guess not, we'll be having a work session with County Council Member Tim Adams. There's a executive session after that, a closed session that we'll be advertising. Also on July the 1st, personnel matters. Work session on the 6th of July. The plan for Hanover Parkway bicycle facilities, 60% design. Advisory board interview, and there's a possibility of an executive session after that, I believe. Regular meeting on July the 13th, that's the only one in July. On the 15th, we have the city manager's quarterly update. Afterwards, we'd be talking with the city manager, personnel and pending legal matters. Council summer recess from the 20th through the 29th, but in the interim, that council meeting, the Four Cities meeting coming up in Berwyn Heights, we're kind of going back and forth about the date. And we've got the 23rd here. I think we were talking about the 9th because several of us are available on the 9th. And I'm just worried about, we're kind of getting off kilter with the Four Cities, just in terms of, either we've got a problem with the date or one of the other cities. So somehow we need to find a way to not move this to August or late July. So, am I saying that correctly? We were talking about the 9th this afternoon, possibly. We've got the 23rd down here. Who is available to attend that meeting? 9th. Was available, and Councilmember McKinney.
Okay, so we have a few people.
Okay, is that okay with everybody? Right.
Mayor, that's correct on how you frame it. We received an email from earlier today from Berwyn Heights, and they were adamant that if it's not the 9th, then it's not going to be until the August 20th or the 27th, which might also not work because it's the 20th, we're on recess again, and the 27th, folks are getting back to school. So it's really coming down to July 9th.
Okay.
So we'll, based on the conversation I'm hearing today, we'll send an email to Berwyn Heights and confirm the 9th. And hopefully that's enough to everyone else to see who can make it on the 9th.
Okay, we've got recognition group policy review on August the 3rd. We've got an open session on August 5th. Regular meeting, the one meeting in August is August the 10th. Open date on the 12th. Council recess until GHI on the 31st. And we've got some other open dates coming up in September. I know staff has been working on setting up a meeting with WMATA and with focused on transit-oriented development, talking about Greenbelt Road. So have we made any, I know that's in the works, are there any other work sessions that we are actively trying to schedule right now, just kind of going back and forth, but haven't nailed down a date?
We sent invitations to County Executive, the Greenbelt Corridor, which is SHA,
Right.
BARC, Greenbelt National Park, and the WMATA Real Estate Team.
Very good. Councilmember Pompey.
I know that CRAB wants to do a work session with council sometime in early September. I don't know if we want to put that on the calendar, if maybe you want to speak with Giselle, City Manager Salmeron, and see what date, like maybe she can talk with the chair and see which date, because we had talked briefly in our meeting last week, and they wanted to wait till after, because they're working on some things, they wanted to wait till after the summer. But I don't think that they had a proposed date, because I didn't have the calendar in front of me, so I couldn't propose any dates to them, but.
Let's put that in the queue to be scheduled. Do you think, would they want a full work session, or could we actually, half maybe?
Session, but they've submitted some reports to us in the past year, and they want to talk about those, and they want to talk about the survey, the city survey, and a few other things as well, the story walk, and they've got a little list of things. They've got a list of things for us, and they haven't had a work session with us in quite a long time, so I think it's a good idea. And the board is really, I mean, it's almost completely turned over in the past 2 years, so it's good for, I think, everyone to be able to meet this current board and just see who they are and what they're doing. So I think we talked about sometime in early September. It looks like there's plenty of dates open then, so.
So to be scheduled, but we'll look at that for early September. Mayor Pro Tem?
Yeah, one thing I was reminded of, based on the standing rules we passed earlier this year, Wednesday, the 16th is the next Park and Recreation Advisory Board, so we should actually not have a work session that date to not conflict with that. And I don't know, Ms. McKinney, because I think APB also has some conflict dates, so we should make sure we get those blocked off as well based on our standing rules now.
That's in September?
Yes.
Mhm. Okay. Any other suggestions for priority work sessions that aren't scheduled that council members feel like the public and we really want to follow up with? Please, go ahead.
This isn't necessarily for July or August, but when we do come back in late August and maybe in September, we need to follow up on the next steps for DEI. And how we're going to be moving forward with repositioning the effort for that office. So I'd like to follow up. We had talked about 4 options for that, and I believe I think that's been sort of limited down to a few less than 4. We probably are at 2. And if we're moving forward with potentially looking at a consultant, we need to get moving forward with that sooner rather than later.
Yeah, great suggestion. Anybody else? Yes, Mayor Pro Tem?
Well, so one thing, we have on the ready-to-be scheduled list our county council at-large member and county executive Brave Boy, but I'm not sure that needs to be on the ready-to-be scheduled list anymore. We recently have had some conversations with the county executive, and I think maybe we should hold off on some of those, unless we have something in particular to talk to our at-large representatives, maybe wait until November or December.
Well, as you recall from our meeting with the county executive a couple weeks ago, we were supposed to reschedule our conversation about the firefighters and public safety for right after the election.
Was
So-
that going to be a work session, though?
I don't know if it's going to be a work session, but we should think about that. But that might be also a time to invite our at-large member to that meeting as well.
And we'll know if there's a change in our at-large, we'll know after tomorrow or after a few days what the primary election will give us. Ms. Pope, you haven't spoken yet.
I just wanted to make sure that we contact the school board about and giving them a clear message that we want to be involved in any planning meetings about the new Spring Hill Lake Elementary School. Like I said, I was invited to the first meeting, and I'm gonna be invited to the second meeting, which is in fall. I don't have a date yet. But once I have it, I will share the link, because you can join in. You can sign up and join in that meeting. But I think we want to be updated before, because several issues came up regarding parking and the bus drop-off, and there's several things, and I have notes, and I have not shared my notes yet, but I just had them in my hands today, and I'll make sure I share my notes. But I know we have all concerns, and we definitely want to be in the loop of what's going on, because Spring Hill Drive is our road, and they're making plans without including us, which is, and we asked several times to do that, and they keep doing the same thing.
Well, I mean, they're
And then
having
I
a groundbreaking on July 9th, and they haven't informed the city of that.
And, you know,
Yeah.
and I asked about, and I sent you the screenshot of, I asked the question about the parking issue, and it was just, they just kind of, didn't want to answer it, couldn't answer it. I understand you can't answer it, but at least try. So, I think we really need to make it clear that that is just unacceptable.
It's unacceptable. Councilmember Fritz, do you have any items, work session, thoughts about work sessions in the fall?
No, I guess I do have questions about some of just for later scheduling. Now that I've been here for a couple months, some of these things have been on there and for a while, and some of them don't seem like priorities, perhaps. Not to create a third tier, but maybe we should look at cleaning this up a little more as well. But because if it's not something that's been scheduled within a year, it's not really for later scheduling. So that's my just general thought of how we kind of keep this clear. But for example, I see the memorial donation. I don't know what the status is on that. So, and I know every time we talk about the schedule. So if there are no updates on that, or is that even still pending? Those are things that I would be curious, because we're putting it in the proverbial bike rack, but we do eventually have to clean up and figure out what we're going to schedule. But overall, I think my other thoughts were captured, and that the priorities do seem like the priorities at the moment. But I am looking at the later scheduling list and seeing maybe we should clean that up a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. Looking at the cemetery plan, we've kind of moved ahead with that partially, and museum plan as well. Member Tim.
Yeah, and those were ones that I was going to suggest, because we just had a work session about the cemetery master plan. So I think unless there are objections, I think we should remove that one. That no longer needs to be scheduled, because we've had the meeting. I think we haven't had it on a regular meeting for approval yet, but we had the last work session. And the museum plan, I think maybe we can get some updates as soon as we actually have news about groundbreaking that, but that plan is in the works. My question is, because honestly, the Bernard Penny one has been on since I was elected to council. So my question is that actually a work session topic? Or is that something that we just need to follow up with Bernard Penny about this memorial donation? But is that even a work session topic that should be listed there?
Well, the issue is that the requirements, what they wanted to do, does not fit with our requirements, what we have for a memorial bench or a tree, so to speak.
It was more than that, and it's a question of sort of following up to confirm if it's still there, and if it is, then how would we incorporate that into the plans that we already have, the master plan, the Buddy Attic master plan, because that plan incorporates some aspects of what this memorial to Leona Penny would have been, which was a stage or a pavilion, I believe. Pavilion.
Mm-hmm.
But somebody needs to follow up and find
Well,
out.
I was going to say, but is that a work session, or is that somebody calling somebody up and saying, what's the status of this, and then reporting back?
Staff can do that and then come back. Side.
Or
We have, and there's a dollar amount, I think it's 10,000, and they wanted naming rights. We can't build a pavilion with $10,000.
No, but we could
I mean, we
name
probably
part of
could
it.
name something. We
name
could
something
we
for
could
that.
probably build something for $10,000. Is it what's in the master plan? It's not.
So we really need to kind of update our naming opportunity criteria for something like that, because it's not that hard to. Well, we need to have a discussion about that naming opportunity policy that we have that's beyond just trees and benches.
But then that's a
And with
different,
the-
that's
with the-
different than a,
And I think,
yeah,
yeah, it is
that's not the
different.
same
And the
thing as
museum
a-
sort of has something worked out, I believe.
Well, and interestingly enough, in the news review, let me see if I can find the link. There was actually a news review article about a discussion of changing the policies around naming things after people, and I don't remember now what year it was.
I understood we moved away from naming.
Well,
Or-
so,
or
and I don't know if
assets.
there was
That
something
was
that
the-
changed
that was
even
the issue.
after that. I wish I could find, oh, I wonder if it's on my, I think it might be on my.
So
other
there's no
computer.
shortage of examples, so we could actually have a work session on that.
But so then the
which would
work
be
session
fruitful.
is about naming rights, it's not about, yeah.
I would be in favor of having that kind of a discussion. Maybe one of the advisory boards should kind of weigh in, or staff. But updating that policy, beyond trees, benches, people,
Well,
streets.
I think first we need to see if we can figure out what our current policy is. Because I feel like that could be one of those things. Oops, I lost the list of.
Councilmember.
Seems like that's something where I'm not sure that we have written down what our policy actually is.
I think we do. Yeah. Councilmember McKinney?
Yes, so I have a couple of follow-ups from previous meetings. We had mentioned that sometime in the fall that we would like to potentially hear back from the Greenbelt Cinema on their planning process. So maybe that could be added to, because I don't see, to be scheduled or for later scheduling. I just don't want to lose sight of us that we said that. And now we're going to have, a member of the council that is in part of that. The second thing is we had also talked about prior to November or December, having a more detailed conversation about the budget before the city manager starts putting together the budget. So at the last meeting, we had talked about, are we going to have a work group or a subcommittee or whatever we were going to call it of council? But even with that, there still needs to be a work session that is a report out to the community about what are we talking about with the budget, so that we can be ahead of that. And I don't know if that can be part of the city manager's quarterly update in a more detailed way.
Kind of have that there. It says pre-budget session, but you're talking about more than that.
I am, because I think what we were talking about was really trying to be a lot more strategic in our thoughts on how we're, there are just things that we're going to need to think about going into next year and have a better line of sight on, and that we can have more detailed conversation in that, so that when we do get to the budget next spring, we will be talking about action that actually needs to be taken, not necessarily just discussion and rehashing that. So I don't know necessarily what that looks like, but I do think that sometime in the fall, we should have a more detailed discussion around the budget.
When going beyond that a little bit, or yes, I do. But also, with our strategic planning in general, or council having a following up on our retreat halfway through the 2-year session would be a good
Yes.
thing to do.
I think that, yes, that's fine. The one last thing that I would add, which I think goes back to the budget, is that I know we have our new economic development manager starting. She will be brand new, but I do know that there are some things that were in the previous economic development plan that we had a work session about, I guess now last spring, it's been about a year.
It's been a while.
And then so I'm curious to see what of those plans as she jumps into the work, are going to be a priority that will then guide some of our budget conversation. So I know it's hard when you're onboarding a new person, and I'm not trying to put it out there, but sometime in the fall, when she's a couple months in, what will be the priority area based on that plan and what we know we're facing with the budget?
Right, I agree. So we've just covered a lot of ground, and we've come up with about 10 or 15 items. Mayor Pro Tem?
Yeah, so a couple that are on for later scheduling, EV Chargers 5-year plan. I think we sort of have that plan. Do we need that for, I think that can come off of the for later scheduling unless there's something you feel like needs to be talked about related to that.
No, I agree. The only project I'm grappling with right now is the EV charging stations at Buddy Attic. We have funding I think our funding, we could probably stretch it to another 8 port or 10 ports. There's no real good, at least the designs we have will put all the EV charging at the front row, and I don't think it's the best place to put all the EV charging stations. No, we don't need to discuss it, but I'm in agreement. The 5-year EV plan can come off.
Yes, and also I think we already also, because when I was looking through things for the Sustainable Maryland application, I think we already have a fleet vehicles 10-year plan as well.
Yes, that's the Pepco EV fleet readiness proposal that we've received.
So that probably does not need to be on a for later scheduling because that is already written. For the GHI Prince George's County stormwater issues, we have the GHI session scheduled. Do we need to try to get somebody from Prince George's County who can talk about stormwater issues when we have GHI August 31st?
Well, they had asked for the session. If we can ask them what their agenda items are, I think that would be a great idea. If they want to talk about stormwater, if we could actually have somebody from the county to chat with us.
So the Stormwater Council has received an update on the stormwater plan. That is going to guide our conversations on stormwater infrastructure. The majority of the impact is on GHI property, but it ultimately becomes a city issue. If you recall, we're talking about millions of dollars of upgrades that need to be done. So the stormwater discussion for me is much more broad than the GHI issue is. We know we have stormwater issues. What strategies are we going to execute? Are we going to do upsizing of piping? Are we going to do some rain gardens, some gray stormwater storage, meaning the gravel pits or any underground storage? And how do we fund all of those activities? That's really the next step for us.
So then
Obviously, it's going to be all of the above, whatever makes sense.
So then maybe this topic is not accurately reflected here. It shouldn't be grouped with it GHI. It should be, we maybe need to have a session maybe related to some of the budgeting things about stormwater.
Councilmember Pompey.
Yeah, I just wanted to flag that we should add on to here Spring Hill Lake Recreation Center. We're going to need to do a work session on that now that we have funding for that. And so we're going to need to see the plans and talk about what that's going to look like. And then we're going to have to, the museum plan is already on here, but that's something that we're going to also have to talk about and have work sessions on in the future.
I want to remind council that on the next page, looking at the packet, we do have this framework for work sessions and tracking stakeholders that we have committed to meeting with on a regular basis. And I see annual, biannual, twice a year, and actually twice a year should probably be above biannual meetings as needed. So it's good to have this discussion. I don't know how much longer you want to have this discussion until 9:30. Yes, please, City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councilmember Pompey, the direction we've received from council on the Spring Hill Lake Recreation Center was for us to host a town hall
Oh,
and
right,
get
you're right.
feedback on the concepts.
You're right. So that's not on here yet, though. Okay. You're
Well,
right.
that wouldn't be on the work session list anyway.
No, I thought it might be on the meeting list, but okay.
Yeah.
So we're working towards that. I think, obviously, when we have any contracts or anything of that nature, and reports will come back to council.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Yeah, and so I guess I'm not sure, so some of these others that we have on here, and I think for the museum plan, I think the museum has designs. So maybe we can just get a report at a council meeting, because I know I've seen Megan Searing Young present about the designs when they have an architect. But I don't know what the purpose was of the MARC train service and MDOT meeting.
Oh, the purpose was to have a discussion with MARC and MDOT. We've never really had that discussion. So the MARC train comes through the city of Greenbelt. The station is separate than the WMATA station. It might be actually interesting to talk with them at the same time as we are talking with WMATA. But, it's an essential link. MDOT is responsible for the MARC train and other transportation links. When we used to have the shuttle bus, or the idea of reinstating a bus to the airport from the Greenbelt Metro, those are all topics that could be broached with MDOT or Mark?
Would that be MDOT? But I guess what would our purpose be? Are we trying to get increased service? Like, what do we want to talk to them about?
We would want to talk about increased service. We would want to talk about conflicts between CSX and Mark in terms of scheduling. We would want to talk about the infrastructure of the station itself. I've taken the Mark train both into DC and up to Baltimore. It'd be nice if that service went all the way up to Baltimore on a regular basis. So I think we should be advocating for that. That would be a powerful economic driver for the city of Greenbelt and College Park and Riverdale Park. Councilmember Fritz, I'm sorry I've neglected calling upon you.
No, well, I'll Mayor Pro Tem Weaver anticipated part of my question, which was, why would we, what is the purpose of the meeting with Mark? I actually think that we should this might be a good topic to discuss with the 4 cities before we meet with them. I don't actually think meeting with them currently is a priority. I know they have a plan of ways they'd like to enhance service. So I think if they said we want service enhancements, I think they would look at us and say, yes, we also want service enhancements. I'm not sure there'd be much discussion after that, because I think that is a shared goal. I think that's more talking to our legislators in Annapolis. And I think the best way we could leverage that is through, PGCMA and the Maryland Municipal League, finding our neighboring cities with shared interests in this and getting them organized together to make this a joint priority. Because I think one city saying we want more service, I think is valid, but I don't think that alone in a meeting with Mark is going to be as fruitful as, really focusing on organizing our fellow municipalities around a legislative agenda that's going to get those service improvements.
Well, I guess that's why it's sort of sitting there to be scheduled, because I wouldn't want it to fall off of our list of conversations that are important and could be fruitful. I take your suggestions as great ideas, so I just don't want to drop the idea off of conversations to be had, to be scheduled at some point, someday. Councilmember McKinney, and if we go much further, I guess we'll have to have a motion to continue for another half an hour.
I think this is a link to why we have the council planning framework in the first place. The planning framework provides us guidance for what we're prioritizing for our meetings and our work schedules and what we're focused on. And so one, I guess, logistical suggestion is on the calendar that we have, where it's annual or biannual or what's ready to be scheduled or for later scheduling, my suggestion would be to identify the planning priority that meeting is linked to. Since we said this is a priority, that's how we should be scheduling. Not to say that we don't have lots of priorities and things that we need to work on, but we have to think strategically about what we're focusing on when. Especially when it comes to legislative agendas and getting ready for the legislative session and things like that. Secondly, I would ask, this will take some time, so I don't see this as an immediate fix, but it would be great to have as another column what was discussed the last time, and then what are the objectives for the upcoming meeting, so that we don't have to kind of rack our brains to say, okay, what did we talk with last time? Because there are meetings that you had that some of us on council were not part of. So we can obviously go back and look at meeting agendas, but having it in a chart that says these were the 3 topics that were last discussed, and this is what we're hoping to discuss in the next meeting, I think will help us guide when we need to have those meetings.
I would agree. And speaking, you mentioned legislative. That's another meeting that is not on here. In the fall, we need to begin talking about what our legislative priorities for the year are going to be. And we've put forward a few ideas to MML, but that doesn't encompass our entire priorities for the coming session. So that would need to be scheduled in the fall, early on, probably. Yeah, Mayor Pro Tem?
Yeah, so, and my final thought, because it was my intention, we have 5 minutes, I think we can finish this up very quickly. But I think we've talked about a lot of different ideas, but I think something else, I mean, I think doing it through the strategic framework might be better than my idea. What my suggestion was going to be that now that we have a list of some more that we would like, that are sort of on the ready to be scheduled list, to have staff send out sort of a prioritization to council about which ones we think are the most important, although some of these I think may have particular timeframes more attached to them. But I think that having these lists of ready to be scheduled and for later scheduling that don't have any context and don't have, like, what are these things are more important, I think it would be helpful if we could, and maybe it's the for later scheduling that needs to be, have priorities or notes somehow added so that we can figure out which ones are just there so we don't forget about them, and which ones are things that we actually have things we want to talk about. But the other last one I will mention is we have Parkway apartment owners and GHI on here as well, about parking. Is that something, again, that if we're having GHI August 31st, what is the issue with that? What is the point to be discussed? If we're going to have the GHI board here, it's an issue between Parkway apartment owners and GHI related to parking, should we bring them in for part of that meeting to discuss whatever the issue is? I don't know what the issue was.
Well, we need to ask GHI what their agenda.
Well, we
items
can
are.
also add things to the agenda
Yes,
to
we
talk
can.
about with
Yes,
GHI.
yes.
But does anybody know what that issue was?
I can't even remember. I think we maybe should ask maybe GHI if this issue has been resolved, because I'm sure it has been resolved in the meantime.
Maybe we can call up, maybe Terry Ruby remembers, maybe we could call up and ask Terry. Because I would say if it's not an issue anymore, if it's not something we need to have a work session on, then it should be taken off of the list.
I was going to say the same thing. I saw it too. I'm like, what? I don't
even know what that's about. So anyway, that's the last thing.
And we haven't received any recent complaints about, not in the past couple of years. So this has been on there for a long time. So maybe we should just take
Find
it
out
away.
if it's still an issue, and if not,
remove
cross it off.
Because, we want to keep our meetings short and precise, but we keep adding, we keep adding to this, and that is not going to be conducive.
why we need
Or
to
we're going to
take
meet
things off.
we're going to have to meet every day.
Yeah.
That's basically,
Yep.
right, so.
I just want to make sure the council focuses on that next page of stakeholder meetings, because some of those meetings, which have been prioritized in the past as being annual, every 2 years, more than that, it needs to be updated.
Yes, I think we
Very
should
badly.
revisit that list entirely. The scheduling as well as who's on it personally, and relate it to our strategic priorities. And if it's not related to that, then it should be a lower priority.
Well, let's close this out. And Councilmember Fritz, did you have anything else to add? Okay, well, let's go ahead and close this meeting. Could I please have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you so much.